now that I have my material successfully pulled into my model and it's scaled to the right size, I can start using this material as the basis for which I draw my model. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to use guides. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to work on getting these I'm going to work on getting some of these exterior walls put into place so I kind of have a basis to get everything else in. So I'm just going to strategically work as I would normally work, and I'll just kind of say what I'm doing as I go. So I'm going to start with my measuring tape, and I'm going to pull into this spot, and I'm just going to make sure that it's aligned on that line. Now I'm always going to type in the dimension that I know it's giving me, which is 19 feet in this case. So if I type 19 feet, enter, it'll snap to that point. I'm going to get my second point by clicking off of the line on the outside of the slab and dragging it in so that it touches the inside line of that inner wall. I'm going from inside to outside to start. Now I'll click again, and I'm going to drag it along this line until I get to 35 feet, enter. So it's going to pop right to that point. That's telling me that I'm going to worry less about the wall thicknesses as I go, because I'm not really getting a wall thickness. I can just deduce that if I click here, the wall thicknesses are going to be roughly 6 inches here. And let's see what the outside one is if I click to this point and drag it out. So it looks like it's about 6 to 7 on the outside. So I'm just going to type in 7, enter for the outside walls, just to get myself a landing point. Let's do the back family room. I'll click from the back wall, or the back edge of the slab I should say, and drag that in and touch that point. Now I'm going to click in again, and I'm going to type in what looks like we're going 15 feet into this direction, so they're a little bit reversed here in terms of the order that they put the dimensions. Now I'm going to click into the inner wall of that den, and I'm just going to type in 6, enter. And I'm going to want to go 12 feet in this direction, which is going to pop me right on that line. So here's something we haven't really explored yet, which are the different face styles. That's this window here that shows you all of the different options you have. When you click on any of these buttons, you'll see that I'm going to go from no material here. This is monochrome. This is my shaded with textures, and this is my just purely shaded, which in this case is kind of, you're not going to really tell a difference because the shaded looks basically the same as the monochrome. I like to turn these off and on sometimes so that I can actually see what it is I'm looking at and see what it is I'm doing, because I can always bring the material back by clicking on shaded with textures. I'm going to pull another dimension out in this direction, 7 inches, and do the same in the back, 7. So now what I can do is I can draw my first wall, and I'm going to go from point to point, and this is kind of exactly what we did in homework 2. So I'm just typing point to point and point. And now I have the beginnings of my first wall. So I can select this, group it, double click it, and pull it up 10 feet, enter. I got 10 feet from the page that is attached as the homework. So you'll see the ceiling height, the first floor walls is 10 feet 0 inches, which means that the ceiling hits at exactly 10 feet. We'll bring some of these walls up even higher, but at first as we're going, we're just going to start by bringing it up to what we know, and we know that it's 10 feet high. Alright, next up I can do this one. So I can type a guide going in this direction, 7 inches. So I can get my front garage wall using my line tool as well. Notice that I'm chamfering the edges to begin with, so that these are all going to be individual walls. So G to group, double click to open it up, P to push pull, and click in place. We're going to get into all of the garage elements and all that stuff in a little bit. We're just starting with just the basic walls. Okie doke. Here's where it gets a little bit trickier. I've got this kind of wild oval shape here. So what I'm going to want to do for that is I'm going to want to start with the inside of that oval. So I'm going to try to find this point here, and I'm going to follow it around with my mouse just looking, and I want to get to about this point out here. So to do that, I'm going to give myself a guide, and I'm going to snap it to that point, and I'm going to give myself another guide pulling off of this and snap it to that point. Now I want to give myself, and here's where I have to get a little closer, a guide from this point to that point, and another one from this point to this point. Remember, what we're creating in this is we're creating a visual presentation. So I'm not as concerned at the moment with the exact purity of this arc as I am with just making the arc so that I can see that it looks right. So I'm going to select my arc tool, and I want the 2-point arc. And I can see that my sides are set at 12. I'm going to change that to 24, enter, so that I have a little bit of a smoother arc as I go. So I'm going to click from this point to this point and just pull an arc like that. And I'm going to get to just about where I get to that point and click. Now I can see that this is not a pure arc that follows the exact arc of this oval tunda area, and that's okay for this assignment. I'm not going to worry too much about making sure that it's exactly on that arc, because again, this is a visual presentation, and I'm not gonna kill myself trying to match the exact arc they've got. If I was doing a real residential project and I really had to get into the nitty-gritty of it, I would take all the time to figure that out. But this is a class that we cannot worry about that for the time being. Now I want to finish this shape off, so I want to bring this line this way, and just kind of continue this back edge of this wall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring a guide from this point to this point here so that I can capture that line. Then I'm going to bring a guide. I've already got this guide and this guide here. You can see that because I kind of snapped to them, and I can verify that by looking like this. So I've already got those two guides. What I don't have is this wall. So if I click from this point to this point, that's going to get me that guide. Now here's where my protractor is going to come into good use. If I click on my protractor and click on this point and copy this line by dragging along it and clicking in this direction, I can get the angle of that wall, which looks like it's 135. So I can click to that point now, and I've captured that angle. I'm going to do the same thing on this point. I'm going to click from here to this line and drag it along here, and it's going to snap to, that looks like it's a 45. So click at my 45 degrees, and I've got it. Okay, let's take a look at what we've got here by just turning off the material by clicking on monochrome. So what I have is I have enough information to finish this shape off. So what I can do is I can take my line tool now, and I can click from this point to this point and just drag along the guides I've just created for myself. And I got to get nice and close on this one because I can see that there's a couple other guides interfering. Click to that point, this point, and that point. Wonderful. Now I can double click on this, make it a group, double click it to bring it up, to open it up, and pull it up into space. Right click and close. Let's bring our material back and see how it looks. Looks great. So we've got this kind of crazy oval shape finished. Now what I might want to do is I might want to let this piece be the rest of the edge of this wall. So I might want to add to this here. So I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to click from this line to this line, back parallel to that point, and just pull that up and add that to this shape. Now I can delete this top line because I don't need it anymore. I can also delete this back line because it's not creating a it's not giving me any information that I need. And I'm gonna go ahead and close that up. So at this point, what we have is we have our curved wall, and we've got our two exterior walls.